I'll never forget the day Vanessa threw the mop at my feet. Not handed it to me, threw it, like I was garbage. "This is your new position, Dorothy," she said, standing in my husband's office. My husband's office. The one that still smelled like his cologne 6 months after we buried him. "Bathroom attendant. You start Monday." I was 67 years old. I had helped build Harrison & Sons Construction from the ground up. For 42 years, I worked alongside my husband Leonard as the office manager, bookkeeper, and the heart of that company. Every employee knew they could come to me with their problems. Every client knew my voice on the phone meant they'd be taken care of. And now my daughter-in-law, who married my son Darius 15 years ago and barely lifted a finger around the company until Leonard died, was demoting me to cleaning toilets. "Vanessa, you can't be serious," I said, my voice shaking. I hated that it shook. I wanted to sound strong. "Dead serious." She sat down in Leonard's chair, put her designer heels up on his mahogany desk. "See, here's the thing, Mother Dorothy. Darius left me in charge while he's overseas handling that Dubai project. And I've been looking at the books. We're paying you way too much for what you actually do. You're old, you're slow, you make mistakes." "I've never made a mistake with those books," I said. "Not in 42 years." "Well, times change. Either you take the bathroom position at minimum wage or you can retire with nothing. Your choice." That's when I understood. This wasn't about efficiency or money. This was about power. This was Vanessa finally getting rid of me now that Leonard was gone. Now that my protector, my partner, my love was in the ground at Mount Olive Cemetery. Before we continue, please drop a comment if you've ever experienced something like this. We'd love to hear your story and subscribe to the channel to help us grow. Let me take you back to the beginning, so you understand how I ended up with a mop in my hands and tears in my eyes. Leonard and I met at Greater Hope Baptist Church in 1975. I was 20 years old, singing in the choir, and he was 23, fresh out of trade school with big dreams and rough hands. He used to say I had a voice that could make angels jealous. I used to say he had a smile that could light up the darkest room. We got married 6 months later. My mama said we were rushing, but we knew. When you know, you know. Leonard started Harrison Construction in our garage with a pickup truck and a toolbox. I kept the books on our kitchen table. We ate beans and rice for dinner most nights, saved every penny, prayed every morning. Within 5 years, we had our own office. Within 10 years, we had 20 employees. Within 20 years, Harrison & Sons was the biggest black-owned construction company in our city. The "and Sons" part came when we had Darius in 1985. He was our miracle baby. The doctors said I couldn't have children, but God had other plans. We spoiled that boy. Maybe too much. Leonard wanted to give him everything we never had. Private school, basketball camps, a car when he turned 16, college paid in full. Darius was smart, got his business degree, came to work for us right after graduation. But somewhere along the way, he got soft. Not in a bad way, just... He didn't have the hunger Leonard and I had. He didn't understand what it meant to build something from nothing, to fight for every contract, to earn respect in a world that didn't always want to give it to us. Then he met Vanessa. She came into our office one day selling some fancy software system. Hair done perfect, nails done perfect, dressed like she stepped out of a magazine. Darius took one look at her and forgot how to speak proper English. Within 3 months, they were engaged. Within 6 months, they were married. I tried to like her. I really did. But Vanessa looked at our company the way a vulture looks at roadkill. She saw money, success, something to pick clean. She didn't see the sacrifice. She didn't see the late nights, the missed dinners. The times Leonard and I had to choose between paying ourselves and paying our workers. She convinced Darius to take that job overseas, said it would be good for his career, good for their future. The Dubai project was huge, worth millions, but it meant he'd be gone for 2 years. Leonard and I didn't want him to go, but Vanessa pushed and pushed. Let the man make his own decisions, she told me at Sunday dinner one night. We were at her and Darius's house. this big fancy place in the suburbs that we helped them buy. You can't control him forever. I bit my tongue. Leonard squeezed my hand under the table. We had learned over the years that arguing with Vanessa only made things worse. 6 months after Darius left for Dubai, Leonard had his heart attack. He was at a construction site, checking on a project. They said he was gone before the ambulance arrived. 68 years old. Just like that, my whole world stopped. The funeral was beautiful. Greater Hope was packed. People came from all over to pay respects. Leonard had touched so many lives. My pastor, Reverend Williams, gave a sermon about faith and legacy that made me cry so hard I couldn't breathe. Darius flew home for the funeral, stayed for 2 weeks, then went back to Dubai. He cried. He hugged me. He said, "Mama, I'm so sorry. But this project, if I leave now, we lose everything. I'll be back as soon as I can." I told him I understood. What else could I say? My son was grieving too, but Vanessa didn't grieve. She saw opportunity. 2 weeks after Leonard's funeral, she called a meeting at the office. All the employees gathered in the conference room. I sat in my usual spot, next to the seat that would forever be empty. "I want to thank you all for your support during this difficult time," Vanessa said, standing at the head of the table like she owned the place. "Leonard was a great man, and his legacy will live on through this company. Now, with Darius overseas and Leonard gone, I'll be stepping in as acting CEO. I have some ideas about restructuring that I think will help us move forward." My stomach dropped. Restructuring? Leonard and I had always planned that if anything happened to him, I would run things until Darius came back. We had discussed it. We had it in writing. Or at least, I thought we did. After the meeting, I went to Vanessa's new office. She had moved into Leonard's space within a week of the funeral, changed the furniture, put up her own pictures, erased every trace of him like he never existed. "What's this about you being CEO?" I asked. "Leonard and I had an agreement." "Did you?" She pulled out a folder. "Because I have the legal documents right here, and they say that in Leonard's absence, control of the company goes to his spouse or next of kin. That's you. But you can transfer those rights to anyone you choose, and according to this document signed 3 months ago, you chose to transfer them to Darius. And Darius, bless his heart, is so busy with that Dubai project that he signed power of attorney over to me." I stared at the papers. The signature looked like mine, but I had never signed anything like that. Never. "That's forged," I said. "I never signed this." "Are you sure? You're getting older, Dorothy. Memory isn't what it used to be. Maybe you signed it and forgot." "I would never forget signing away my company." "Your company?" She laughed. "Sweetie, this was never your company. It was Leonard's company. He was the man, the boss, the one everyone respected. You were just the secretary who happened to be his wife." I felt like she had slapped me. 42 years of my life reduced to just the secretary. "I built this company with Leonard," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "Every brick, every contract, every—" "And now, Leonard's gone," she interrupted. "Things change. Either you adapt, or you get left behind." For the next few months, I watched Vanessa systematically destroy everything Leonard and I built. She fired longtime employees and replaced them with her friends. She changed our company values, the way we did business, the relationships we had with our community. She stopped sponsoring the youth basketball league we'd supported for 20 years. She pulled our donation to Greater Hope's building fund. And she humiliated me at every turn. She made me move out of my office into a cubicle in the hallway. She started questioning every decision I made, every email I sent. She made me get her coffee. She'd call me into meetings just to embarrass me in front of other employees. "Dorothy, you forgot to file that report," she'd say, even though I'd filed it the day before. "Dorothy, you made an error in these numbers," she'd announce loudly, then whisper that she'd actually changed the numbers herself just to make me look bad. "Dorothy, Maybe it's time to think about retirement. You're not as sharp as you used to be. I called Darius every week, tried to tell him what was happening, but Vanessa always got to him first. By the time I'd talked to my son, he'd already heard her version of events. "Mama, Vanessa says you're having trouble adjusting to the changes," he'd say. "I know it's hard without Dad, but you need to let her run things. She has a business degree. She knows what she's doing." "Baby, she's destroying everything your father built." "Mama, please, I can't deal with this right now. I have so much pressure here. Can you two just work it out? For me?" What could I say? My son was an ocean away, stressed, grieving his father. I didn't want to add to his burden, so I kept quiet and took the abuse. My friends from church saw what was happening. Sister Margaret, who'd been my friend for 30 years, came to the office one day and was shocked. "Dorothy, why is that woman treating you like this?" she asked. "Where's your office?" I just shook my head. I was too ashamed to tell her I was now sitting in the hallway. Then came the day with the mop. 6 months after Leonard's death. 6 months of torture. I stood in that office, looking at the mop on the floor, looking at Vanessa in Leonard's chair, and something inside me wanted to break. But I didn't break. I wouldn't give her that satisfaction. "I need to think about this," I said. "You have until Monday," she replied. "Bathroom attendant or nothing. Oh, and one more thing. You need to move out of the house." "What house?" "Leonard's house. Well, the company's house, technically. It's listed as a company asset, and I need it for business purposes. You have 30 days. The house Leonard and I bought in 1980. The house where we raised Darius. The house where every room held a memory. She wanted to take that too. I walked out of that office, got in my car, and drove to Mount Olive Cemetery. I sat by Leonard's grave and cried until I had no tears left. "I don't know what to do, baby," I told the headstone. "She's taking everything we built, and I can't stop her. I'm just an old woman who can't even protect what's ours." That weekend, I went to church like always. I sat in my usual pew, tried to sing the hymns, but my voice kept breaking. After service, Reverend Williams pulled me aside. "Sister Dorothy, you look troubled. Want to talk about it?" I told him everything. All of it just poured out. The forged documents, the demotion, losing my house, how Vanessa was destroying the company, how my son didn't believe me. Reverend Williams listened, nodded, then said something I'll never forget. "Dorothy, you and Leonard built that company on faith and hard work. You think God brought you this far just to let someone like Vanessa tear it all down? Maybe this is your test. Maybe God's about to show you just how strong you really are." "But I'm not strong," I said. "I'm old and tired and alone." "You're not alone. You have this church. You have your faith. And you have something Vanessa doesn't have." "What's that?" "Truth. And truth always finds a way to come out." Monday morning came. I stood in front of my closet, looking at my clothes. I had a choice to make. I could put on my church clothes, go to that office, and tell Vanessa where she could stick that mop. I could walk away with my dignity. Or I could put on old clothes, take that mop, clean those bathrooms, and stay close. Stay where I could see what she was doing. Stay where I could find the truth Reverend Williams talked about. I chose the mop. When I walked into Harrison & Sons Construction that Monday morning wearing overalls and old shoes, every employee who saw me looked shocked. Some looked away, ashamed. Others had tears in their eyes. Vanessa met me at the door with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Good choice, Dorothy. The bathroom supplies are in the closet. Don't forget to clean the toilets in the executive bathroom. They're filthy." I took that mop. I cleaned those bathrooms. And I started watching, listening, paying attention to everything Vanessa did, every meeting she had, every document she signed. Because Reverend Williams was right. I wasn't just some old woman with a mop. I was Dorothy Harrison. And I had built an empire once before. And I would be damned if I let some designer heel-wearing, fake smile-showing woman destroy what my Leonard and I created. I just needed time. And evidence. What I didn't know was that time was running out faster than I thought. Because Friday afternoon, after I finished scrubbing toilets, I overheard Vanessa on the phone in Leonard's office. Yes, I understand. No, she doesn't suspect anything. By the time her son gets back, there won't be anything left to come back to. Trust me, I'll have every asset liquidated within 6 months. Yes, including the property. No, she signed everything over, I made sure of that. My blood ran cold. Vanessa wasn't just running the company. She was planning to destroy it, liquidate everything, and disappear. I stood outside that office door, mop in hand, and realized I didn't have months. I maybe had weeks. And I had no proof, no power, and no one who believed me. That's when my phone buzzed. A text message from a number I didn't recognize. Mrs. Harrison, my name is Rochelle Bennett. I'm an attorney. We've never met, but your husband came to see me 6 months before he died. He had concerns about Vanessa and wanted to make sure certain documents were protected. I think it's time we talked. Can you meet me tomorrow? I stared at that message, my hands shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. Leonard had known. Somehow he had known Vanessa would try something like this, and he had set something in motion to protect me. I texted back one word. Yes. As I walked out of that building, mop still in hand, I looked up at Leonard's office window where Vanessa sat in his chair on her phone, probably planning her next move. She thought she had won. She thought I was broken. But she had no idea that the war was just beginning. I met Rochelle Bennett at a coffee shop 2 blocks from Greater Hope Baptist Church. I got there 30 minutes early because I was too nervous to sit at home. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. She walked in at exactly 2 o'clock and I knew it was her immediately. Mid-40s, natural hair pulled back in a neat bun, sharp eyes that missed nothing. She wore a navy blue pantsuit and carried a leather briefcase that looked like it had seen a lot of courtrooms. Mrs. Harrison? She extended her hand. Rochelle Bennett. Her handshake was firm, confident. I liked her immediately. We sat down in a corner booth, away from other customers. Rochelle pulled out a folder from her briefcase and looked at me with kind eyes. First, I want to say how sorry I am for your loss. Your husband was a remarkable man. In the 6 months I worked with him, I could see how much he loved you and how much he loved that company. 6 months? I asked. He came to see you 6 months before he died? Yes, last February. He called my office and said he needed to speak with someone about protecting his assets. When we met, he told me he was concerned about his daughter-in-law. He said she had been pressuring him to sign over certain company documents, to restructure the business in ways that made him uncomfortable. My heart ached. Leonard had known. He'd seen what I saw, but he never told me. He probably didn't want to worry me, or maybe he thought he could handle it himself. What did he do? I asked. Rochelle opened the folder. He was very smart about it. He created what's called a trust. All the company assets, the property, everything of real value got transferred into a trust with you as the primary beneficiary. He also made copies of all the original incorporation documents, partnership agreements, everything. And he left them with me. I stared at the papers she was showing me. Legal documents with Leonard's signature. Real signatures, not forged ones. So the papers Vanessa showed me. Fake, Rochelle said. Or at least not the real controlling documents. Your husband was careful. He knew that if something happened to him, Vanessa might try something like this. So he made sure the real power stayed with you. But she said she has power of attorney from Darius. Power of attorney doesn't mean anything if the company isn't actually under Darius's control. And according to these documents, it's not. It's in the trust. With you. For the first time in 6 months, I felt like I could breathe. Leonard had protected me. Even from the grave, he was taking care of me. So, what do I do now? I asked. Well, that's the tricky part. We need to prove that Vanessa forged those documents. We need evidence of what she's been doing to the company. And we need to do it before she causes irreparable damage or tries to liquidate assets. I told her about the phone conversation I'd overheard, about Vanessa planning to liquidate everything within 6 months. Rochelle's jaw tightened. That's fraud. That's embezzlement. That's a lot of prison time if we can prove it. Do you have any evidence? Recordings? Documents? No, I said, feeling hopeless again. I'm just the bathroom cleaner now. I don't have access to anything. Rochelle leaned forward. But you're inside the building. You see things, you hear things. Mrs. Harrison, sometimes the best position to gather evidence is from the bottom. People don't pay attention to the help. They talk freely around you because they think you don't matter. She was right. In the past week alone, I'd heard 3 different conversations about company business while I was cleaning. Employees talking in the hallway. Vanessa on the phone. Documents left on desks. I need you to document everything, Rochelle said. Every conversation you hear, every document you see. Take pictures if you can. But be careful. We need enough evidence to take to the police and to confront Vanessa legally. What about Darius? When do we tell him? Rochelle's expression softened. That's your call. But in my experience, family matters get complicated. If Vanessa has his ear, he might warn her before we're ready. It might be better to wait until we have solid evidence. I didn't want to hide things from my son, but I also didn't want to risk losing everything because he didn't believe me. Okay, I said. I'll gather evidence, but I need to know, when this is all over, can I get my company back? Can I undo everything she's done? We're going to do our best, Rochelle said, but I need you to be strong. This might get ugly. Vanessa isn't going to go down without a fight. I thought about Leonard, about 42 years of marriage, of building something together, of faith and hard work and love. I thought about that mop in my hands and Vanessa's smug smile. I can be strong, I said. Rochelle smiled. I believe you can. The next 2 weeks were the hardest of my life. Every day I went to that office with my mop and bucket. I cleaned bathrooms, mopped floors, emptied trash cans. And I watched. I listened. I documented everything. I bought a small notebook that fit in my pocket and wrote down every suspicious conversation. I took pictures of documents with my phone when no one was looking. I befriended the night janitor, a young man named Isaiah who'd worked there for 3 years, and he started telling me things he'd seen. Vanessa meeting with strange men after hours, papers being shredded at midnight, money being moved around. Isaiah was a good kid. Went to Greater Hope with his grandmother. When he found out what was happening to me, he got angry. Miss Dorothy, this ain't right, he said one night while we were both cleaning the offices. Mr. Leonard was good to all of us. He gave me this job when nobody else would hire me, and Miss Vanessa is just spitting on his grave. I know, baby, but we're going to make it right. I just need you to keep your eyes open and let me know if you see anything unusual. I got you, Miss Dorothy. We all got you. And it was true. Once the other employees realized what was happening, many of them started helping quietly, leaving documents where I could photograph them, warning me when Vanessa was coming, sharing information about strange meetings and suspicious transactions. But Vanessa was getting bolder and meaner. 2 weeks after my meeting with Rochelle, Vanessa called me into her office. I walked in with my cleaning supplies, expecting another humiliation. Dorothy, I wanted to let you know that I've decided to host the company's annual charity gala this year, she said, filing her nails like she didn't have a care in the world. You remember the gala, right? The one you and Leonard used to throw every year? Of course I remembered. It was our pride and joy. Every November, we'd host a gala to raise money for local youth programs. It was formal, beautiful, and brought the whole community together. What about it? I asked. Well, I'm bringing it back, but with some changes. It's going to be at the Riverside Hotel, very upscale, black tie, and I want you to work it. Work it? Yes, as bathroom attendant. I'm hiring servers and event staff. But I need someone to make sure the bathrooms stay clean all night. That's you." She wanted me to clean bathrooms during the event that Leonard and I had created. In front of our friends, our community, everyone who knew us. "You want to humiliate me in front of everyone we know," I said quietly. "I want you to do your job," she replied. "Unless you'd rather quit, I'm sure we can find another bathroom attendant." I thought about what Rochelle said. Stay close. Gather evidence. Be patient. "I'll be there," I said. Vanessa smiled. "Good. Oh, and Dorothy? Darius is flying in for the gala. It'll be his first time home since the funeral. I'm sure he'll be so proud to see how well the company is doing under my leadership." My heart jumped. Darius was coming home. My baby was finally coming home. But instead of joy, I felt dread. Because I knew Vanessa would make sure he saw me at my lowest. Cleaning bathrooms at the event his father and I had built. That night, I called Sister Margaret and told her everything. About the attorney, the evidence I was gathering, and the upcoming gala. "Dorothy, you can't let that woman do this to you," Margaret said. "We need to tell the church. We need to organize—" "No," I interrupted. "Not yet. I need more time. I need solid evidence before I confront her. But I need you all to come to the gala. I need friendly faces there." "We'll be there," Margaret promised. "Every last one of us." The next Sunday after church, Reverend Williams asked me to stay behind. We sat in his office, and he looked at me with those wise eyes that had seen everything. "Sister Dorothy, the church has been talking. People are upset about what's happening to you. We want to help." "I appreciate that, Reverend, but let me finish. The church voted to hire Rochelle Bennett on your behalf. We know you're paying her out of pocket, and that's not right. We're family. When one of us is under attack, we all stand together." Tears filled my eyes. "Reverend, I can't let the church pay for my legal fees." "It's already done. You and Leonard gave to this church for 40 years. You sponsored children through college, paid for mission trips, helped fix the roof 3 times. Now it's our turn to help you. Don't you dare try to refuse." I hugged him tight and cried on his shoulder like a child. The weeks leading up to the gala were intense. I was gathering evidence, meeting with Rochelle weekly, and watching Vanessa spiral deeper into her scheme. I discovered she was selling company equipment and pocketing the money. She was inflating invoices and keeping the difference. She was setting up shell companies to funnel money out of Harrison and Sons. It was worse than I thought. Much worse. "She's embezzled close to $500,000, Rochelle told me during one of our meetings. "And if we don't stop her soon, she'll drain everything and disappear." "When do we move?" I asked. "Soon, but I want to wait until after Darius comes home. Once he's here, once he sees what's happening with his own eyes, it'll be harder for her to manipulate him." The night of the gala arrived. I put on my work uniform, plain black pants and a Harrison & Sons polo shirt that Vanessa had ordered special for the service staff. I looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back at me. But then I remembered what Reverend Williams said in his sermon that morning. Sometimes God puts us in the valley so we can appreciate the mountaintop. Sometimes we have to be broken down so we can be built back stronger. I drove to the Riverside Hotel with my head held high. The gala was beautiful. Vanessa had spared no expense. The ballroom was decorated in gold and crystal. There was a full band, an open bar, catered food from the fanciest restaurant in the city, all paid for with company money. Money she had stolen. I was stationed in the women's bathroom with my cleaning supplies. Every time someone came in, I'd straighten up, check the stalls, refill the soap. Most people didn't even look at me. To them, I was invisible. Just the help. But my church family saw me. Sister Margaret came in first, gave me a long hug, and slipped a note in my pocket that said, "We love you." Other women from Greater Hope followed throughout the night, each one offering encouragement, prayers, telling me to stay strong. Then I heard Darius's voice in the hallway. "My son. My baby." I hadn't seen him in 6 months except through video calls. I stepped out of the bathroom and saw him standing there in a tuxedo, looking so much like his father, it hurt. Vanessa was attached to his arm, wearing a dress that probably cost more than I made in 3 months. "Mama?" Darius's face showed shock when he saw me. Why are you in a work uniform?" Before I could answer, Vanessa jumped in. "Oh, honey, didn't I tell you? Your mother wanted to help with the gala. She insisted on working the event. You know how she is, can't stand to not be involved." The lie came so smoothly from her mouth. "Mama, is that true?" Darius looked confused. I could tell the truth right there. I could make a scene, tell him everything. But we weren't ready. Rochelle said we needed more time, more evidence. "It's fine, baby," I said, my voice barely steady. "You enjoy your night. We'll talk later." "But Mama—" "Darius, come on." Vanessa pulled him away. "People are waiting to meet you. Your mother is fine." I watched my son walk away, and something inside me cracked. But I didn't break. Not yet. The rest of the night was torture. I watched Vanessa work the room, playing the grieving daughter-in-law, talking about Leonard's legacy while actively destroying it. I watched her introduce Darius to potential buyers, because that's what they were, I realized. She was setting up the sale of the company right under his nose. Around 10 o'clock, I was restocking supplies when I heard voices in the hallway outside the bathroom. Vanessa and a man I didn't recognize. "The son doesn't suspect anything?" the man asked. "Nothing. He's so busy with that Dubai project, he barely pays attention to the finances here. By the time he realizes what happened, I'll have liquidated everything and we'll be gone." "And the old lady?" Vanessa laughed. "Dorothy? Please, she's broken. She cleans toilets now. No one takes her seriously." "What about when the son finds out?" "He won't. I've covered my tracks. And even if he does, what's he going to do? His mother signed everything over. I have power of attorney. Legally, I'm untouchable." I stood frozen in that bathroom, my phone recording every word. "You're sure the documents are solid?" the man pressed. "I had them drawn up by someone who knows what they're doing. Even if Dorothy tries to claim they're forged, it'll be her word against mine. And who's going to believe the crazy old lady who thinks she built the company?" My hands shook, but I kept recording. They talked for another 5 minutes about bank accounts, offshore transfers, and their exit strategy. By the time they finished, I had everything Rochelle needed. I immediately texted her the recording. Her response came fast. "This is it. We have her. Meet me Monday morning. Bring Darius." I walked out of that bathroom feeling different, stronger. Like the Dorothy who built a company from a kitchen table was waking up after a long sleep. The gala ended around midnight. I was cleaning up when Darius found me again. Vanessa was talking to donors on the other side of the ballroom. "Mama, we need to talk," he said. "Why didn't you tell me they had you working like this?" "Baby, there's a lot I need to tell you, but not here. Can you come to the church tomorrow after service? It's important." "Is this about you and Vanessa?" "Mama, I know you two don't get along, but—" "Darius, please, just trust me. Come to Greater Hope tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I'm going to show you everything." He looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. "Okay, Mama, I'll be there." I hugged my son tight, breathing in his cologne, feeling grateful that I'd get to save him from the woman he married. Because that's what this was about now. Not just saving the company, but saving my son from a predator. That Sunday, I barely heard Reverend Williams's sermon. I was too focused on the meeting ahead. Rochelle was coming, Darius was coming, and we were going to expose Vanessa for everything she'd done. At 2 o'clock, we all gathered in Reverend Williams's office. Me, Darius, Rochelle, and the Reverend as witness. I brought all my documentation. Rochelle brought Leonard's original trust documents. "Son, There's something you need to know, I started, my voice shaking but determined. That's when Vanessa burst through the door. Whatever she's about to tell you is a lie, Vanessa said, her face twisted with rage. She's been trying to turn you against me since your father died. How did you... I started. You think I'm stupid? I saw you texting. I followed Darius here, and I'm telling you right now, whatever poison she's about to pour in your ear, don't believe it. Darius looked between us, confused. Somebody better start explaining what's going on. Rochelle stood up, calm and professional. Mr. Harrison, my name is Rochelle Bennett. I'm an attorney, and I was retained by your father 6 months before his death. He came to me with concerns about your wife. Concerns? Vanessa laughed. Leonard loved me. This is all Dorothy's fantasy. Your father created a trust, Rochelle continued, ignoring Vanessa. He transferred all company assets into that trust with your mother as primary beneficiary. The documents your wife has been using to control the company are fraudulent. Darius stared. What are you talking about? I pulled out my phone. Baby, I need you to listen to something. I played the recording from the gala. Vanessa's voice filled the room, talking about liquidating assets, covering her tracks, calling me the crazy old lady. The color drained from Darius's face. That's taken out of context, Vanessa stammered. I was just... There's more, Rochelle said. She laid out documents showing the embezzlement, the shell companies, the forged signatures. Darius looked at his wife like he'd never seen her before. You did this? All of this? Baby, let me explain. You called my mother crazy. You demoted her to cleaning bathrooms. You've been stealing from my father's company. Our company, Vanessa corrected. And I was making it profitable. Your parents were running it into the ground with their old-fashioned ways. Get out, Darius said quietly. What? Get out, he roared. Get out before I call the police right now. Vanessa's mask finally fell. The sweet, loving daughter-in-law disappeared, and something ugly took her place. You're going to regret this, she hissed. All of you. I have lawyers. I have connections. By the time I'm done, Dorothy won't have a company or a reputation left. And Darius, you'll lose everything in the divorce. She stormed out, slamming the door so hard the cross on the wall shook. Darius sank into a chair, head in his hands. Mama, I'm so sorry. I should have listened. I should have come home. I should have protected you. I knelt beside my son, took his face in my hands. Baby, you didn't know. She fooled all of us. But we know now. And we're going to make this right. Rochelle cleared her throat. We need to move fast. Now that she knows we're onto her, she might try to destroy evidence or transfer money. I recommend we file charges first thing Monday morning and get an emergency injunction to freeze all company accounts. Do it, Darius said. Whatever it takes. I want her prosecuted to the fullest extent. That night, I slept better than I had in months. We had evidence. We had the truth. We had Darius on our side. Vanessa's reign of terror was over, but I should have known it wouldn't be that easy. Monday morning, I woke up to 26 missed calls and 26 text messages. All from Vanessa. The messages started calm. We need to talk. Then desperate. Please, I made mistakes, but we can fix this. Then threatening. You have no idea what you've started. And finally, terrified. What did you do? I had no idea what she was talking about until I saw the news. Breaking, CEO of Harrison & Sons Construction arrested on charges of embezzlement, fraud, and forgery. The investigation was launched after evidence was provided by company founder Dorothy Harrison. Rochelle had moved faster than I expected. The police had raided Vanessa's house at 6 that morning and taken her into custody. But that wasn't even the biggest shock. My phone rang. It was Darius. Mama, you need to turn on Channel 7, now. I turned on the TV and felt my whole world shift again. There, in handcuffs, being led out of a precinct downtown, wasn't just Vanessa. It was Vanessa and Bradley Patterson, the city councilman who had been blocking our contracts for years. The same man who'd been at the gala. The same man Vanessa had been talking to outside the bathroom. The reporter's voice filled my living room. In a shocking development, Councilman Patterson and Vanessa Harrison have been charged with conspiracy to commit fraud and public corruption. Sources say Patterson was helping Mrs. Harrison liquidate company assets in exchange for kickbacks. The investigation is ongoing, with rumors of more arrests to come. I sat down hard on my couch, my mind spinning. This wasn't just about Vanessa destroying our company. This was bigger, much bigger. And we had just opened a door we couldn't close. The next 72 hours were chaos. The news spread through our city like wildfire. Harrison & Sons Construction wasn't just a local business. We were a pillar of the Black community. And the revelation that a city councilman had been working with Vanessa to destroy us and pocket kickbacks? That was front-page news. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. News reporters camped outside my house. Old friends I hadn't heard from in years called to offer support. The church organized prayer vigils. And Darius moved back home immediately, leaving the Dubai project in the hands of his team. "I never should have left," he said that first night, sitting at my kitchen table looking exhausted. "I was so focused on building something new that I forgot to protect what we already had." "You didn't know, baby," I said, squeezing his hand. "She was good at hiding who she really was." "But you knew, and I didn't listen to you. I chose her over you." The pain in his voice broke my heart. "Darius, look at me. You were trying to honor your father's dream, grow the business. That's not wrong. What's wrong is what she did, not you." Rochelle called an emergency meeting at her office Tuesday morning. When we arrived, she had a whole team assembled, 2 other attorneys, a forensic accountant, and a private investigator. "This is bigger than we thought," Rochelle said, spreading documents across the conference table. "The FBI has gotten involved. Turns out Vanessa and Councilman Patterson were running a scheme across multiple Black-owned businesses in the city." "Multiple businesses?" I asked, shocked. The forensic accountant, a sharp woman named Keisha, nodded. Patterson would use his position to block contracts and permits for successful Black-owned companies. Then his associates, people like Vanessa, would move in, marry into the families, or get hired into leadership positions, and systematically drain the companies from the inside. Once the business was hollowed out, Patterson would swoop in through shell companies and buy the assets for pennies on the dollar. I felt sick. "How many businesses?" "We've identified at least 7 over the past 10 years. Harrison & Sons was going to be the biggest score yet." Darius slammed his hand on the table. "So she never loved me. This was all a con from the beginning?" Rochelle's expression softened. "I'm sorry, Mr. Harrison, but yes, evidence suggests she targeted your family specifically. She researched Leonard's company, found out about your plans to work overseas, and positioned herself to get close to you." My son looked like someone had ripped his heart out, and as his mother, I wanted to take that pain away. But all I could do was hold his hand and let him grieve the marriage he thought he had. "What happens now?" I asked. "Now we prepare for trial," Rochelle said. "Vanessa's being held without bail because she's a flight risk. The FBI found evidence she had plane tickets to Costa Rica and offshore accounts with over $2 million, most of it stolen from various businesses." $2 million? I whispered. "From Harrison & Sons alone, she took $640,000. The rest came from other victims." The private investigator, a former police detective named Jerome, pulled out more files. "Mrs. Harrison, we also found something else. The signature on those documents Vanessa showed you, the ones transferring company control, we had a handwriting analyst examine them. They're forgeries, but good ones." "Vanessa hired a professional. Can we prove that in court?" Darius asked. "Absolutely. We have the expert testimony, the original documents your father left with Rochelle, and security footage from the office showing Vanessa accessing your mother's desk and files multiple times without authorization." "I want her to pay for everything," Darius said, his voice hard. "Every lie, every dollar stolen, every humiliation she put my mother through." Over the next few weeks, we worked with the FBI and prepared for trial. The case was assigned to Judge Andrea Thompson, a no-nonsense black woman with a reputation for being tough on white-collar crime. The trial started on a cold Monday morning in December. The courthouse was packed, news cameras everywhere. Our church family filled 3 rows behind the prosecution table. I wore my best suit, the one I used to wear to important contract meetings with Leonard. Vanessa sat at the defense table looking nothing like the powerful woman who'd thrown a mop at my feet. She'd lost weight. Her hair wasn't done. She looked small and scared. Part of me felt sorry for her. But then I remembered her voice on that recording, calling me crazy, plotting to destroy everything Leonard and I built. The pity disappeared. The prosecution went first. They laid out the entire conspiracy, how Patterson blocked contracts, how Vanessa systematically isolated me and took control of the company, how they planned to liquidate everything and disappear. They played my recording from the gala. The courtroom was silent except for Vanessa's voice, cold and calculating, talking about how no one would believe the crazy old lady. I saw several jury members shake their heads in disgust. Then it was my turn to testify. The prosecutor, a young black man named Julian West, led me through my story. I told them about building the company with Leonard, about our 42 years of marriage, about how Vanessa slowly took everything after he died. "Mrs. Harrison, can you describe how it felt when Mrs. Vanessa Harrison threw the mop at your feet?" Julian asked. I looked at the jury, 12 faces watching me. Half were black, and I could see some of the older ones nodding like they understood. "It felt like she was erasing me," I said, my voice steady. "Like 42 years of my life, my work, my sacrifice meant nothing. Like I was nothing. Just an old woman in the way. And how did it feel to clean bathrooms in the company you helped build?" At first, it felt like shame, like I'd failed. But then, I paused, finding the right words. Then it felt like preparation, like God was putting me in a position to see the truth, to gather the evidence we needed, to save what Leonard and I built. Vanessa's defense attorney tried to make me look confused during cross-examination, tried to suggest I was too old to remember things correctly, that maybe I had signed those documents and forgotten. But I was ready. "Sir, I am 67 years old, not senile," I said firmly. "I remember every contract I filed, every employee I hired, every dollar I counted for 42 years. What I don't remember is signing away my life's work." Because I never did. The courtroom erupted in applause. Judge Thompson had to bang her gavel to restore order. Darius testified next. He talked about how Vanessa manipulated him, kept him away from home, controlled his access to information about the company. His voice cracked when he described watching the recording of his wife plotting against his mother. "She made me choose between my wife and my mother," he said, "and I'm ashamed that I didn't see through her sooner." The forensic accountant testified for 3 hours, walking the jury through every fraudulent transaction, every forged signature, every dollar stolen. By the time she finished, the evidence was overwhelming. But the most damaging testimony came from Patterson himself. Facing federal charges that could put him away for 20 years, he'd cut a deal. He testified against Vanessa, describing their entire operation in detail. "She approached me 2 years before Leonard Harrison died," Patterson said from the witness stand. "Said she'd married into the family and wanted to know how to take control of the company. I told her the plan. Isolate the matriarch, turn the son against her, forge documents, liquidate assets. We'd done it before. It worked." "And why did you target black-owned businesses specifically?" the prosecutor asked. Patterson shrugged. Easy targets, close-knit families, strong emotional ties. If you can break those bonds, you can break the business. And nobody suspects a city councilman who claims to champion minority businesses. I watched several jury members' expressions harden with anger. Vanessa's attorney tried to paint her as a victim of Patterson's manipulation, but it was too late. The evidence was too strong. The jury saw through it. After 2 weeks of testimony, closing arguments came on a Friday afternoon. Julian West stood before the jury with quiet intensity. Ladies and gentlemen, this case is about more than money. It's about respect. It's about legacy. It's about a woman who spent 42 years building something beautiful with her husband, only to watch her daughter-in-law try to destroy it for greed. Dorothy Harrison didn't just lose a company. She lost her dignity, her position, her home. She was forced to clean the bathrooms in the building she helped build. All while Vanessa Harrison spent stolen money on designer clothes and planned her escape to Costa Rica. He paused, letting that sink in. The defense wants you to believe that Mrs. Dorothy Harrison is confused. That maybe she signed those documents and forgot. But I ask you, do you believe a woman who remembers every detail of 42 years in business would forget signing away that business? Or do you believe what the evidence clearly shows? That Vanessa Harrison is a con artist who saw an opportunity and took it. The jury deliberated for less than 4 hours. When they came back, the forewoman stood and read the verdict. On the count of embezzlement, we find the defendant Vanessa Harrison guilty. On the count of fraud, we find the defendant guilty. On the count of forgery, we find the defendant guilty. On the count of conspiracy, we find the defendant guilty. Vanessa collapsed in her chair. Her attorney tried to hold her up, but she was done. Finished. Judge Thompson looked at her with cold eyes. Mrs. Harrison, you have been convicted of systematically destroying a family business and attempting to steal the legacy of 2 people who spent their lives building something meaningful. You showed no remorse, no mercy, and no respect for the people you hurt. Sentencing will be in 2 weeks. But I want you to know that I intend to impose the maximum penalty allowed by law. As they led Vanessa out in handcuffs, she looked at me one last time. There was no apology in her eyes, just hatred, just rage that she'd been caught. I felt nothing, no pity, no satisfaction, just tired relief that it was finally over. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us. Darius and I made a brief statement. We're grateful for justice, Darius said. But more than that, we're grateful for the community that stood by us. Greater Hope Baptist Church, the employees who risked their jobs to help gather evidence, and most of all, my mother, the strongest woman I know. I took the microphone. To anyone else going through something like this, don't give up. Don't let people make you feel small or invisible. And remember, sometimes God puts us in the valley so we can appreciate the mountaintop. Sister Margaret and half of Greater Hope were waiting on the courthouse steps. They erupted in cheers and praise. Someone started singing "Victory is Mine," and soon everyone joined in, right there on the courthouse steps. Vanessa was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison. Patterson got 15. Their assets were seized and used to compensate the victims. The week after the trial, Darius and I went to the office together. Our office. Our company. The employees had prepared a celebration. Balloons, cake, a banner that said, "Welcome back, Mrs. Harrison." Isaiah, the night janitor who'd helped me gather evidence, gave me a hug that nearly cracked my ribs. "Miss Dorothy, you're a hero. You saved all our jobs." "We saved them together, baby," I said. Darius called an all-staff meeting in the conference room, the same room where Vanessa had announced her restructuring plans. "First, I want to apologize," he said. "I failed you all by not being here when you needed leadership. I failed my mother by not listening when she tried to tell me what was happening. But that ends today. From now on, Harrison and Sons operates the way my father intended, with integrity, with respect, and with my mother, Dorothy Harrison, as president and CEO. The room exploded in applause. "I'll be taking over as COO," Darius continued. "But make no mistake, my mother is in charge, and we're going to rebuild this company the right way." We spent the next 3 months undoing Vanessa's damage. We rehired the employees she'd fired. We restored relationships with vendors and clients. We rebuilt our reputation in the community, and we started the Leonard Harrison Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to helping other Black-owned businesses avoid predatory schemes like the one we'd survived. 6 months after the trial, on what would have been Leonard's 69th birthday, we held a memorial service at Greater Hope. The church was packed. Darius stood at the podium, looking so much like his father. "My dad used to say, 'Success isn't about what you build, it's about what survives after you're gone,'" Darius said. He built a company, but more importantly, he built a legacy of integrity. He protected his family even from the grave. And he raised a son who forgot those lessons, but found his way back. He turned to look at me. "But the real hero of this story isn't my father. It's my mother. The woman who took a mop and used it as a weapon to gather evidence. The woman who endured humiliation and betrayal, but never broke. The woman who showed me that strength isn't about power. It's about resilience." After the service, Reverend Williams pulled me aside. "Sister Dorothy, you remember what I told you that day you came to my office? About this being your test?" "I remember." "You passed. Not just passed, you excelled. You showed everyone what faith looks like when it's tested, what strength looks like when it's challenged, and what grace looks like when you have every right to be bitter." "I had help," I said, looking around at my church family, at Darius talking with members, at Isaiah serving punch to the children. "I couldn't have done it alone." "That's the point," Reverend Williams smiled. "None of us can. That's what community means. That's what family means." That night, Darius and I sat on the porch of the house Vanessa had tried to take, the house Leonard and I had bought 44 years ago, the house filled with memories. "Mama, I need to tell you something," Darius said. "I've been in therapy, dealing with everything that happened with Vanessa, and my therapist helped me realize something." "What's that, baby?" I was so desperate to prove myself to Dad, to show him I could build something big, that I forgot what he actually taught me. That the biggest thing you can build is character. That the most important thing you can protect is family. He took my hand. "I'm sorry it took almost losing everything for me to remember that." "You didn't lose anything, baby. You found your way back. That's what matters." "I want to ask you something. The Dubai project, there are more opportunities like it. International contracts, big money. But I don't want to leave again unless you're okay with it. Unless we can do it together. Maybe you come with me next time? Help me negotiate the contracts like you used to do with Dad?" I smiled, thinking about Leonard. About how he'd love seeing his son finally understanding what business was really about. Partnership, family, trust. "I'd like that," I said. We sat in comfortable silence, watching the sunset paint the sky in oranges and purples. My phone buzzed, a text from Rochelle. "The Harrison Foundation got approved for nonprofit status. Your first grant applications are coming in. You're changing lives, Dorothy." I looked at that message and thought about the journey. From bathroom cleaner to CEO again. From humiliated widow to foundation president. From victim to victor. The next Sunday, Reverend Williams asked me to give testimony during service. I stood at that pulpit, looking out at faces I'd known for decades, and told my story. All of it. "When Leonard died, I thought my life was over," I said. "I thought I was just the woman behind the man, and without him, I was nothing." Vanessa reinforced that lie. She made me believe I was too old, too weak, too irrelevant to matter. I paused, letting my words settle. But God used that lie to reveal the truth. I wasn't weak. I was being tested. I wasn't irrelevant. I was being positioned. And I wasn't too old. I was exactly the right age to have the wisdom to fight smart instead of fighting angry. Amen, someone shouted from the pews. So to anyone feeling invisible, feeling defeated, feeling like their best days are behind them, I'm here to tell you that's a lie. Your story isn't over until God says it's over. And sometimes the biggest victory comes after the hardest battle. The church erupted in praise. People stood, clapped, cried. Sister Margaret was on her feet shouting, "Glory!" Isaiah was wiping his eyes. And in the front pew, Darius sat with tears streaming down his face, looking at his mother like he was seeing her for the first time. After service, a young woman approached me. She was maybe 30, looked exhausted. "Mrs. Harrison, I'm Tamika. I own a catering business, and something similar is happening to me. My business partner is pushing me out, and I don't know what to do." I took her hand. "Come to my office tomorrow. We'll talk, and we'll figure it out together." Because that's what the Harrison Foundation was for. To make sure no other Dorothy had to clean bathrooms in the company she built. To make sure no other family got torn apart by greed and lies. 1 year after the trial, Darius and I stood together at the grand reopening of Harrison & Sons construction. We'd renovated the building, updated the equipment, brought the company into the 21st century while honoring Leonard's vision. The mayor came to cut the ribbon, the same mayor who'd suspended Patterson and promised to clean up corruption in City Hall. "This company represents the best of our community," the mayor said. "Resilience, integrity, and family. Dorothy Harrison is proof that you can't keep a good woman down." As the ribbon fell, I looked up at the building, at the sign that said, "Harrison & Sons Construction, Estano 1978. At Leonard's dream still standing, still thriving. I felt his presence beside me, felt his hand in mine even though he was gone. "We did it, baby," I whispered. "We protected what we built." And somewhere, I knew he was smiling. That night I wrote in my journal, something I'd started doing during the trial on Rochelle's recommendation. "Dear Leonard, it's been 18 months since you left me. 18 months of hell and heaven, of loss and victory, of being broken down and built back up. Vanessa tried to destroy us. She almost succeeded. But she forgot one thing. We didn't build Harrison & Sons with money or power. We built it with love, faith, and stubbornness. And you can't destroy that. Darius is home. He's whole again. He's the man you raised him to be. The company is thriving. And I'm not just surviving anymore. I'm living. Thank you for protecting me, even from the grave. Thank you for those trust documents. Thank you for seeing what I couldn't see. I miss you every day. But I'm okay. Better than okay. I'm free. All my love, Dorothy." I closed the journal and looked at Leonard's picture on my nightstand. 68 years old in that photo, taken just weeks before he died. Smiling that smile that made me fall in love with him 50 years ago. "Rest easy, baby," I said. "I've got it from here." And I did, because I was Dorothy Harrison, builder of empires, mother of sons, survivor of storms, and my story was far from over. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and feel free to share your story in the comments. Your voice matters.